Hello. Hi, everybody.
It says set up your webinar. So it's going live. It's connecting.
Yeah, no, it's working. Hey, everybody. I'm Matt and Jamie over here. We're super excited to be here with you. This group is new, but it's already kind of awesome. And we thought, a lot of the reason that we tried this out that we started this group was to help people. There's a lot of money to be made in content marketing through free advertising, through SEO, and um, all the million ways that you can content market. And Jamie and I have so much experience. We decided that we wanted to start a group so we could bring this to everybody. And then there were a bunch of recurring themes. Just that, not just that we've seen, but that you've also told us, and stuff like that. So we thought that we'd go live, say hi to everybody, hello, and go into some of this stuff. Who are we? So I'm Matt. I've actually most of my career has been in publishing. I was a top editor at Business Insider. I got my master's in journalism from Syracuse, and then not in that order. And then I was brought on to New York Magazine to build their video program from the ground up, which I did, and also launched Vulture, who's part of New York Magazine's Snapchat Discover channel, which is still alive and kicking to this day. And yeah, I mean, now sort of bringing all of the things that I've learned and the ways to get all that organic, that beautiful organic traffic to everybody else. Now that's me. Jamie is an SEO whiz, which I only know things about because I've been hanging out with Jamie. So Jamie, do you want to just intro quickly, and we'll get into the content soon, because I know people really want to learn about these mistakes and how to fix them. But
Right. They don't care about who we are.
yeah, right. I don't care.
Yeah. So I've been in marketing for 12 years. So really have worked on helping small business owners grow traffic through Google, through trying to get them to rank through some of their content marketing, and as well as just, running some social media and stuff for them. So that's me. And let's start talking about content marketing, because that is what you are here for. So content marketing is so important when we think about brands today. So if you think about Budweiser or Pampers or Coca-Cola, they're not just selling a product. Like when you see their information, it's not just, buy this product. They're telling stories. They're creating emotions. What they are selling are stories and emotions, and hoping that that is making a connection in your brain to buy their product. And that's what content marketing does. You're selling your story. You're selling this emotion to people where they want to buy from you because of it. So if you can think of the Pampers commercial where, the parents are, the dad is rushing around all day, and, it has this to-do list from Alexa. And then he has this feeling of relief when the whole day is done. And then the baby is smiling at the end of the commercial. Like, it's that emotion that everything's done. I can do this, with the baby's so cute. And it brings this like love sort of feeling, like, like you might think of your own child, or, a niece or nephew, or friend's baby. And they're selling you on the emotion. And that is what we want to do in content marketing. That is the goal. Do you want to take it over, Matt?
Yeah, I mean, so the first real issue, right? The first mistake that a lot of people make is that they're not making that, and this is why it's a good segue into this. It's that they're not making a deep connection with customers, right? So a lot of entrepreneurs come out with whether it's Facebook posts, whether it's YouTube videos, whatever it is, and there's not actually like a deep a deep connection with people. But here's the big, like, those of you who are going to be hanging out with us for a while, you're going to hear me like beat this drum over and over and over again. Empathy. Empathy is my favorite word on the planet. And along with it being my favorite word on the planet, honestly, empathy is the heartbeat of the internet. It really is. Why? Why is it the heartbeat of the internet? What does empathy mean, right? Like, empathy is all about your ability to identify with people and your ability to identify with different things that are going on in your lives and in everybody else's lives. And so I would sort of posit that every single piece of content and every way that you frame that content, and framing, when I talk about framing, I'm talking about headlines, thumbnail images, captions, comments, all of that stuff. All of the content and the way that you frame that content has really got to come down to empathy and identification, because people will share the things that they know. If you want to go viral, you need to identify with people. And it doesn't necessarily mean that you're showing them things that they already see and that they already love, but that can be quite a good thing.
Right. It can be niche, right? Like, it can be even really, really niche to a certain audience that you're really going for. It doesn't have to be broad where it appeals to everybody. It just needs to appeal to somebody in a way that they're passionate about.
Or it needs to blow them away. And there's a bit of an empathy there, right? I think a lot of it is we are all humans doing these things. So what does this mean in practice? It all sounds wonderful, but what does this mean in practice? Right. It means basically take everything that you thought you knew about how to make stories for newspapers and like throw it out the window, because every single piece of content should feel tailored to the audience. In fact, a lot of people, what they do when they come, because and a lot of this is what kind of content ideas am I going to try to do to connect with my audience? And really what we're talking about here from a standpoint of monetization is how you get massive viral traffic onto your posts and videos, right? And this simple tweak will do it. Empathy, identification. Think about the audience first and your brand second. I know that sounds weird because the brand should be the number one thing. And if you're thinking about your brand, great, because a lot of people don't even think about their brand. So awesome. I'm guessing you're here because you like care about your business, and that's great. We like working with businesses that care about their business. But
that's the first step.
Yeah, but you need to think about the audience first and your brand second, because the audience makes the brand, right? The audience opens up the market. The market doesn't exist without the audience, right? The whole point of creating your company is probably, or even creating your content, if you're just blogging for reasons other than trying to make money online, it's all about the audience. It's like if a tree falls in the forest, does it make a sound? Like, if you write a blog and nobody reads it, did that blog get written? I mean, it did, I know, but at the same time, it's something to think about, right? Which is why at the end of the day, I'm really excited that this is the first thing we're talking about is empathy, because I just get all fired up about empathy. I really do. In fact, I also teach in colleges, and I ask this of my students all the time, literally every week in all the classes that I teach. And I say, what's my favorite word, kids? And they're like, empathy. And I'm like, yes, empathy. Because you have to identify.
And you can actually even bring that into your brand, right? Like, you can create a story around your brand. Like, Dove created a story around their brand when they went to women and asked them what they thought of themselves. And they made this whole thing about how women were seeing themselves in this like negative light, and they turned it into this really amazing story. And anybody can do that. You can literally take your brand and identify it with something, anything that people care about, and that people are going, oh wow, that's really an issue. And you can take a stand as a brand, and then that becomes your story, and that is how people are connecting with you.
Yeah, I think if there's one thing, like the biggest thing to take away from this is really, this is why I put so much focus on story ideas, because the idea makes the headline makes the idea and the idea make the traffic and the clicks, and the traffic and the clicks that come from the headline and the idea lead to money, right? And so at the end of the day, if you're not thinking about your audience, being empathetic, identifying with them, creating content for them, not for you to be seen. It's not for you to be seen. That's not something to focus on. You want to focus on your audience's will, right? So I think that's the biggest mistake first. 'Cause I think a lot of what you see is, first of all, a lot of what you see is people trying to sell stuff. So maybe we should just quickly hit on that. The best thing you can do in content marketing is not sell a friggin' thing, right? And a lot of times we'll talk about the 80-20 rule, right? But honestly, I feel like that rule is like better at 90-10.
That's what I always do too. 90-10.
Yeah.
If that. Yeah,
Yeah.
definitely not sales. People are so inundated with ads and sales messages all the time, and they're sick of it. And it's really starting to trend that way, where people are literally blocking those sales messages because they're tired of it because of the internet. I mean, these were things that earlier generations did not have. They weren't completely bombarded with ads all the time. So especially the newer generation.
That's true. Yeah.
The millennials, Gen Z is even worse. Like if you're trying to reach somebody who's really young, like good luck with a regular ad, you know, like it's about giving them value, giving them something that they care about, or identifying with something they identify with. But let's go ahead and go on to mistake number 2, because we could talk about that all day. So mistake number 2 is,
I'm gonna do this is something. Yeah, I'm gonna do like a million other lives just on empathy, and I'll do the same thing. You got to drill it home. It's like doing push-ups. You just keep doing, you just keep doing the same move and you'll get better at it. So what's number 2?
So number 2 is using humdrum headlines, because those are what attracts the customers in the first place. And guys, if you have any questions on, like, I have no idea how I'm going to create a story around my brand. I have no idea because of the type of product I sell or type of service I provide. Type it in the comments, type it in the group, and we will help you. We will help you create a story. If you need a story, we can help you create a story. Okay, go ahead, Matt. Take it away. Headlines. He is the headline guy.
Why do I have to take it away?
Because you're the headline guy.
Yeah. Headlines. I mean, at the end of the day, it comes back to empathy again. Big surprise. I mean, you really need to identify with people. But I also think
catchiness too, though. Like it's
yeah, but like I don't like the word catchy, because it's kind of like when somebody asks you like or when somebody gives you the advice like be yourself. It's like, what the heck do I do with that advice? That's not
true. It's broad. It's general.
Actionable advice. Mm-hmm. So how do you be catchy? I think that that's not if I want to tell somebody how to write a good headline, I won't say be catchy. And then also I worry about that bringing people like into sinkholes, because that's when puns start. And I cannot tell you how many staff I have managed over the years that try to put puns in headlines, and I just want to hit my head against the wall. Because it's not about being funny, it's not about being fun, it's about I mean, it should be personable. It should feel like it's coming from a human being and not a company. But at the end of the day, again, it's really about the audience connection and what you want to elicit from them. So really it comes down to a couple things, right? Like it comes down to like, how am I going to identify with them or appeal to them? So am I going to appeal to their sense of, their large sense of empathy, where it's like something like, for example, like a classic BuzzFeed headline, like, 6 things only short girls will understand, right? This is an actual BuzzFeed post, right? So that's extremely niche. And then, obviously like a lot of like a very huge subset of people are going to empathize with that, and then they're going to click that. The second thing is mystery and curiosity. So if you can find a way to put things around mystery and curiosity, it kind of elicits the click, right? Which kind of leads into the third point, which is what I call like the curiosity gap. Right? And that's when you start a question in the headline that can only be answered by clicking it. And this is something that's sort of been demonized at times in the content world, the idea, because people call it clickbait. That's garbage. Don't listen to those people. It's not clickbait. It's a simple tease. People have been teasing in content in newspapers and magazines for years and years and years, not to mention television. When you hear those teases, like, oh, a cat was caught in a tree and then the tree fell. What happened next? Stick around at 5. That's classic curiosity gap, because I have to come at 5 if I want to find out what happened to this poor cat. So if I'm in a
Well, it's
headline,
not clickbait unless it doesn't match. Like if you're giving a tease and then not answering the tease, then that's clickbait, right? But if it follows through on the tease, like if you're completing the thought, then it's okay.
I'm glad you stopped me because I'm like a train. Like if you don't stop that train's just gonna go. But identification, wow, if you can wow them, this works really well for video because in video, the first 3 to 5 seconds is like everything, right? So you want to blow them away with your best footage. And if you don't have your best footage, like if you don't have great footage, which is going to happen a lot, you want to blow them away with your story angle, with your headline. So the way that you identify with them, the way that you are going to appeal to their sense of mystery and curiosity, things like that. So, and then curiosity gap. Because at the end of the day, it's okay to tease because, as I said before, I use this analogy, like the tree falls in the forest doesn't make a sound thing. And yes, if your blog post is written, if your video is made, if your email is written, but nobody opens it because you haven't focused on the framing, then, does it matter? Like, was it worth your time? And the answer is, sometimes it's important, and the answer is yes, but it's as important or more important. And here's the dirty truth. And, we're in this group because we want to improve our traffic a lot, right? I mean, like, if you want more traffic, framing, like headlines, thumbnail images, the way that you sell the story is really 80 to 90% of the battle. I mean, you better show them great content when you get in there, like valuable stuff. But the framing is so important. And it takes work and it takes time. Over time, you'll sort of see, how these, you'll get better at this. You'll start seeing more of how things get catching. But that's how things get catchy. They're catchy because they hook people, and they hook people because people care about them. So I feel like you have to drill down that far to really figure out what it is. But don't overthink it either, because at the end of the day, it's all about humans identifying with the human experience. So if you just think about what you would be interested in, what you would be most likely to click on, then you could find success. That's why headlines are just so important. I'm just gonna talk and talk.
And on the flip side, coming from the SEO side, the other important things about headlines from when you're writing them in a blog is going to be those keywords. You need to have your keywords in your titles, and you want to have long tail keywords in your titles. So that means that they are 3 to 4 or more words long. If you're going for something really, short that everybody is using it, you're just not going to be able to rank for it. So you want to make sure that you're finding those long tail keywords, the 3 to 4 things.
So let me ask you a question here. So how do you balance those things? For
customers, what I normally do is I alternate when I write blogs. I'll write one that's for SEO for that title, and then another for social. But here's the thing: on social, you can post a blog and name it anything. So you can give it a different headline. So if I'm using my keywords, which I still try to put something kind of on the end, right? So I usually use this example, and this is just because I have permission from this particular company to share their stuff. But for a pantyhose brand, we used our pantyhose in style because tons of people search for that every month, especially this year where there's tights everywhere. They're seeing them everywhere. So a lot of people are searching our pantyhose in style or our pantyhose in style 2018. So I had to use that as my title, but then I added on from bloggers to celebrities. So they realized, okay, I'm going to get examples. Like I'm going to get to see why they're in style. It's not just going to be somebody's opinion piece. So you can add on to it. So I had my long tail keyword and then I added to it. But then I would do blogs that were, Pinterest worthy. It was more like I researched it on Pinterest and saw what people were searching for on Pinterest. Or I'm looking for that click on social media. And that could be an entirely different blog as well. So you kind of, you kind of want to alternate between them. Or like I said, if you have an SEO blog that rocks, go ahead and give it a different headline when you post it, because you don't have to post it. You can, make an image with whatever headline you want and have them click the link above it, and it's going to be just as effective.
Yeah, and just so you don't get frustrated, because this is a pain in the ass. Facebook doesn't allow you to change the headline field on the blog posts on the blog post previews as you put them in, unless you verify your domain. So that's something that I would urge everybody to do right now, because it takes like 72 hours, like at least. So just Google that. I'm not going to take you through it right now, but just Google that. You have to go in Business Manager and then go to something like safety, and then verify your domain, do some like annoying stuff in the back. It's worth it though, because if you get really good at headlines and you understand SEO, which are all the reasons that we exist here for you on planet Earth.
We're here to help you with it.
Yeah, like you will want to put different headlines on Google and on Facebook. And so you would maybe make your like search friendly headline for Google, but then you would, on social media, you'd want to think about something that's maybe slightly more emotion eliciting. If you have your domain verified, you can drop the link. You can always delete the link after the preview populates there, so that it doesn't look like messy in the caption, right? You don't have to have the link in the caption. Just put the link, the preview pops up, then you can delete the link. And then if you have your domain verified, you should be able to then go and edit that preview. And when I was in the content world, like when I was running social media for Business Insider, for example, I would do that with every single, and I used to share like at least like 60 different articles with headlines that I would create and change on the go all the time. And I would constantly change that headline to make it more pointed, add more curiosity gap, put more empathy in it. So anyway, it's super, super crucial to do that. Not to mention, when you're talking about Facebook, part of that framing that I talked about, again, if you're just joining us, framing means all of the ways that you set the post up, that you sell the post for all intents and purposes, the headline, the image, the thumbnail, all those things. The caption is part of it too, as well as the metadata description. Those things on Facebook are super, super important. So what's your caption going to be? It should show some personality. It should seem like it's coming from a person. There are basically three ways in Facebook: the caption, the image, and the metadata. Actually four. The caption, the image, the metadata, and the headline. All four of those things can be manipulated by you to get more traffic on Facebook, and you should use them all to their maximum potential. Don't ever say, well, the headline, like I did 2 out of the 4. I mean, if you really want to get traffic, give a lot of thought to all 4 of those things, and we can talk about, this is a great, I should get a notebook here. I don't have a notebook, but I've got all of these ideas now for other things. I mean, I could do a whole session just on images, that share well on social media. And I know that in the group, everybody was saying that they need the most help with organic social media marketing. Images are like a huge part of that. Anyway, I'm just rambling. I think that's it for headlines though, Jamie, right? I mean,
Absolutely.
SEO, great point about SEO. I mean, so here's the other thing. I mean, can you make it both like let's say that you take a search term. Like, what's a good example of a search term? Like, like some boring search term, like, I don't know. But like, can you break it up or like put it within the framework of like how to build a table? Like, let's say that that's a search term, right? It's like boring, but you want to rank for it. But like, that's like the worst headline ever, right? Like, is there like, can you decorate it at all and still like rank for in Google?
You have to have the exact words. It'll help you rank better. You have to have the exact words.
And no other words?
You can add to it, yeah. But it's better if you add to the end. So
okay.
So it's better if your keyword is at the beginning of your title. So you might, how to build a table, 5 tips and tricks for staining. I don't know. Like, but you could add something to the end of it for sure. But yeah, you tend to want your keyword at the beginning of the title, but that's why I say sometimes you kind of have to change it when you're posting it to social as opposed to search. People, when they're searching, they want to see the exact words they typed in, like they want to go and say, oh, okay, click.
Yeah.
That's exactly what I typed in. They are going to tell me exactly what I want to know. So that's why it's so important to
The hard thing is, though, like it still needs to be sexy in search, though, right?
Right, but you can do that at the end because they more care about you answering their question. It's a
right. Yep. And also in your description there. I mean, you have some opportunity there, right?
Exactly. That is exactly it. So in your metadata, in your meta description, that is where you're going to put your catchy stuff to get them.
That's good stuff.
Click. Absolutely. That is where you frame it. I didn't even think about that until you said it, but yes, absolutely. That is where you can frame it. Okay, let's go on to number 3.
Here.
The number 3 biggest mistake has to do
not taking advantage of SEO, traffic, and social media. So we've talked a little bit about that.
Yeah, we have. We've gone into a lot of that, kind of touching on it.
Yeah.
But that's the biggest thing, right? You write something, you spend all this time creating this like awesome piece of content, and you're like, this is great, it's gonna take off, and then like your 5 friends see it. And you're like, oh my gosh, like I spent so much time on this. Like, why isn't anybody seeing it? And that's because there is so much more to getting traffic through search engines than just keywords. And maybe you've heard about keywords, or maybe you've heard about, make sure you fill out your, metadata and meta description. But there are so many other elements that you need, like links. Does your website even have any backlinks? Do you have anybody that is going to your website? So another company is linking to your website. Like, do you have those on your website? Is your website search friendly at all? Have you broken down your blogs so that there's numbering? There are blogs that Google has literally pulled blogs of mine where it's at the very, because it's ranked number 1 for those keywords, and it has the numbering, how I numbered, like number 1, number 2, number 3, number 4, and it'll actually pull it to the top, and you can see a preview of those numbered aspects, because Google knew when it read it that I was giving good information. I was giving you a checklist of what you needed to know. And you can actually see it in the previews. I'm sure you've seen it when you searched before.
Now, when you do that
to
make Google see that, you have to use a specific tool in a specific font tool. You have to make sure you use the 1, 2, 3 font tool that's usually given.
Right. Yeah, you can't type in 1, 2, 3. You got to make sure you're using the numbering tool, or right. Bullets will work the same way.
So many weird things like that.
Right. So there's so much where it's like they want to see it broken down, or making sure that you're using, headers, and making sure that you have subheaders, things like that, because Google wants it to be the most readable. Like, that is part of what ranks it, is that it's a good user experience. And people aren't patient. Like, they want to read the content really fast. Like, they want to go through it and just bam, 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 bam. So that's really important. And there are so many different aspects to search. It could take hours for us to go over just everything you need to do to rank for your website. But if you're just putting a blog out there and you're not doing all these certain things, and hopefully if you're in the group that you've downloaded the blog checklist, maybe you haven't. If you haven't, we can put a link to it in the group, because that'll kind of get you started on some of the things that you need to be doing in your blogs, as well as in the unit section. I've talked about internal links and how to find keywords. So I've definitely included that.
And to piggyback off of that, it's really good to, I'm learning, to work in reverse. So when you're coming up with story ideas, and I dropped a big 20-minute thing earlier about how to come up with story ideas, but that was mostly how to come up with story ideas that'll get you lots of traffic, and we all want lots of traffic. But the whole other way to come up with story ideas that everybody should do on top of that, right, is to go through all of the is to do the keyword exercise. And maybe Jamie, you can put together like a little training video where you're like, oh, if I've never thought about this before, here's how I would do like find like my 10 keyword driven stories, like the next keyword driven stories I should do next. Cause the thing is like you
did have to have an idea to type it in to get your keywords. Like,
Right.
Yeah,
but then it's like if you want to have a story, like let's say that you run, like you sell calendars or something, and you want to, and you say, okay, well, I want my blog to like rank high on Google for buying calendars online. So what do? So you would say that you would go to one of these keyword planners, right? And then find the keywords that have like the lowest competition, but they also get a lot of clicks per month or whatever. And then you can actually build blog posts around that. So maybe like,
yeah, that's actually how I do it. I always I do that first. I go and I find my keywords, and actually I use the Keywords Everywhere tool the most. And it's like this free plugin that you can get for Chrome or Firefox and add it on. And literally anything I type in a search engine, it's gonna on the side, it's gonna populate lists.
Oh, it's free?
Keyword ideas. Yeah, it's free.
Oh, I thought I had to pay for it. Hold on, downloading it.
Told him. But it populates the whole side with not only keywords, but related keywords. And that's another thing, is you want related keywords in your blogs as well, because that tells Google like, hey, you know what you're talking about, and you're not just using the keywords extraneously. Like, you're using them because you know what you're talking about. So having some of those related keywords in there is always a good idea too, because it really, they like that. Yeah, I love that tool. It just populates them right there on the side, like how to yada, yada, yada. So, that's a good one.
I'm like putting in my email so that I can get this right now. Like, and I'm trying to remember what email. I have like 1 billion. Does anybody else have like 1 billion Gmail accounts? Give me a break. Like,
I know, right?
Okay. So anyway,
but social media. So we haven't really talked that much about social media. And one of the things, obviously, with social media is consistency. And the hardest part of that is like, we don't have time, right? Like all the time, I'm like, I know social media best practices. And here's the thing, I'll do them for other people all the time. But when it comes to like my own stuff, do you think I'm posting regularly? Not always. Do you think that I'm doing everything correctly for myself? Not always, because when I'm committed to doing it for another business, it's, you know, completely different. And I am not offering marketing services at all. I'm just saying, like, because that's what I have done. But I just, yeah, I don't know. I don't always follow my own best practices because it takes a lot of time. But that's why.
I mean, so why should you post a lot, right? Like, you should post a lot.
So it's the algorithm, right? So one of the things that you need to do before you're posting is you need to hop on the platform and you need to engage on it for a few minutes, so that that platform, you know, is primed and ready to go and knows you're that you're interactive and you don't just post and then leave. So that's kind of an important thing to do regularly, and you want to post during high traffic times. So oddly enough, and I know this a lot from, because I use Hootsuite as my social media scheduling tool, and believe it or not, I post for like 9 different companies a day, every single day. And so that's why when it comes to my own posts, I'm like, gosh, I don't want to do this anymore, right? Like, I'm done. Like, I'm out after that. So using that tool like helps you do it really fast, because I can post to a bunch of different platforms at once. And like, you can find a free version and use it. You don't need to have the paid version. If you're just posting for 1 or 2 businesses, like, you don't need that. But you can post across your platforms, and it's really quick. So if you hop on, interact for a few minutes, and then make sure that you schedule something. And there's actually auto schedule on Hootsuite where I can tell it to auto schedule, and it'll post during the best time that it thinks. And generally those times are around like noonish, are good on Facebook. 3 p.m. is a good time on Facebook, and on Sundays even around 5 or 6 p.m. But most of the time it's more like between 12 and 3 p.m. Other platforms vary. It's not the same. Twitter, like, you never want to post on Twitter like late morning, like at the 11, 12 o'clock thing on Twitter, your post totally won't get seen. And I've experimented with it. Basically, it's like early in the morning at like, 8 o'clock, whatever. And then it's like late in the afternoon. Or on Pinterest, if you're posting on Pinterest, that should be later. Or on, I'm blanking, Instagram. Instagram is, that's kind of similar to Facebook. It's more like that noon to 3 p.m. time slot. So having a schedule is really helpful, because if you're just going on and posting at any time, it might not be even reaching very many people, but it's very important to go on, interact for a few minutes a day. The other thing is you kick your post up every time you interact. So if somebody comments immediately on your post, like wait a few minutes, don't comment right back. Wait like 10, 15 minutes and then comment back, because what it's doing is there's not a very long lifetime thing on your post. So it like stops showing your post, but when you comment on it, it kicks it back up and it's going to start showing it again. And I know I'm explaining that terribly. I don't know why I can't talk right now, but yeah. So
I think that the hard thing is like a lot, like you get that advice, like post a lot and people don't know what to post. I mean, this always happens to me too. And I think that like the best advice I can give is, and it's hard because it can feel like endless. It's like every day another post. I mean, obviously post in advance. So like if you can find a time to like, it's kind of like how, some people like meal plan on Sundays and pack up all their lunches and then they just take them to work every day. It's kind of like, I feel like you can do that with social media, especially if you run a business and you're trying to start, you're starting up things like a blog. But I wouldn't look at just like, a blog is really just one piece of the whole content strategy. So you can even do like little graphics in Canva. If you don't know about Canva, you should know about Canva. If you don't know about Canva, Google Canva and make infographics and like little fun things, quotes. You can always put quotes. It doesn't be by you, just like by anybody. Those are great things to like put up.
As long as they're emotional, they have to resonate emotionally, because if they're just any quote, it's not gonna matter.
Or like provide value in some other way. That's what it is. At the end of the day, it's about value. Value. That's my other word that I always tell my students. What's my other favorite word? It's always value, value, value. Don't like just make stuff that sucks just to make it. So it should be valuable to the person. So you want to be like, giving them something that they will like, share, and comment on. Well, they're going to like, share, and comment on it. Not just if the headline's good, but also if the content is offering something valuable, like the answer to a question they have every day, a curiosity, a hack they didn't know about.
Or even an engagement post where you're asking a question. Like, granted, this stuff takes time. Like, it's not an overnight thing, like where people are going to start commenting right away. Like sometimes you've got to build their trust first. People aren't going to just jump in right away. So it's really this fine line. And video, it's shared like 1,000% more than any other type of post. So, if you can create a video, that your reach is going to be a lot better. And actually Facebook favors video, so it's going to share it more than anything else. And actually, so I did an experiment one time on my business Facebook page one time. I took it and I boosted a post, and it was one of those like where you comment a letter on to make a word. And I think it was like the word Facebook or something like that. So it was an engagement post, and I was like, hey, here, comment with the letter. And then I boosted that post because Facebook had stopped delivering out. And I'm sure that you've seen that on your pages again and again, right? Like Facebook is terrible about delivering your posts out to people, and you have to pay to boost them. So I boosted the post because I knew my next post I wanted to be seen. And what happened was, because it was so engaging, like it had, everybody commenting on it, like, so you end up with, dozens and dozens of comments, is Facebook went, oh, okay, people do want to see your content. Like that's what it does to the Facebook algorithm. It like reset it so that my next post, it delivered out to more people. And you don't have to boost it. actually Facebook Lives, and I know most business owners are like, I am never doing a Facebook Live, but they can be so effective at resetting that algorithm because of the level of engagement and just because the fact that Facebook favors it. So if Facebook favors it, like, you should be doing it. Those are some ways when you're starting to go, oh my gosh, it's delivering out to 2 people. Why is it only delivering out to 2 people? That'll help reset the algorithm.
Yeah.
We talked a lot about that, and we could keep going on that for days. But let's get to number 4 because we're already like well into this. We've been talking for a long time.
How long have we been on?
Like 45 minutes.
Oh my God.
Yeah, sorry.
Yeah.
So let's hurry this up and get to and get to number 4. So the biggest part of doing social media or SEO or anything else is to convert customers. But of course you can't do that right away, right? So you need things to follow up with them, like email or messenger bots or things. But again, you're not just going to go right in for the kill. There's all types of email sequences, and I don't know if anybody is writing email sequences for their customers, but
you should be.
Yeah, right. But you should be. And there's all kinds of types, right? There's like a welcome sequence when somebody comes to you. There's nurture sequences. There are sales sequences. But here's the thing, even on sales sequences, you don't pitch the sale on the first email, right? The first email is value. The first email is engagement. And then the second email, you might be telling more about your brand and engaging them in a story to get them more connected. And you do all of that before you ever send a sales email. Otherwise, they're just going to shut it off and go away. So even in the conversion stages, you're still giving value. You're still using content. And that may seem like a lot of content, but the thing is you can reuse stuff. Like if you read a blog, go ahead and throw it in an email, right? Like if you want to provide value, some of this comes down to voice too, right? You want a casual voice with things. You want to find personality in what you're writing. And email has even more personality than blogs, although you could argue that blogs should have a lot of personality as well. I mean, heck, I was trying to find a birthday party place for my daughter. It was at AMF Bowling. I was looking up bowling parties, and their Q&A section for parties was so cute. Like it had so much voice to it. It'd be like, okay, I know that was 3 questions, but here's the answer. Or, all right, well, it just had these like little quirky things about them, and people like that stuff. And I was laughing, and I said to my husband, like, man, like if this wasn't so pricey and I didn't want to spend this much for a party, I would have totally booked with them just because I love this. Like that is how you engage people. But you can refurbish that content. And that's another thing. Well, I'm going to keep going off on tangents. This isn't good, but but what I was thinking about is with blogs, you don't just share them once and have it be done. Like you can reshare them multiple times. You can give it a few different headlines and put them in a queue, kind of like you're recycling content. Like I'm showing this blog, and then I'm showing one from a week later, and then another one from another week later. So anyway, but that's off topic. I kind of got off topic about emails, but Matt will talk to you about bots.
Yeah, I don't know much, so we don't have to go too much into bots, but just I think really just that you should just realize that messenger bots are sort of the new email. Even though email isn't going anywhere, email does have the highest ROI of any other digital marketing platform, so you should be using it, and that's because the audience is so warm. And with messenger bots, they're pretty warm too. They're probably a little colder than they are on email, but still, it's a way to easily communicate in an extremely conversational way. So definitely play around, download ManyChat, play around. The free version is extremely powerful, so I would definitely, you should definitely play around with that. But I think that the basics is email is a form of content marketing. A lot of times when I'm running running out of emails, I will actually put the text of a blog in there. Like, I won't just link out to it. I'll literally put the whole text of the blog in there, because then they'll like, it's even less salesy. It's like, here's just like a bunch of pure value, right?
Exactly.
Because it's all about building trust. And, you know, you would much rather, again, this is the analogy I always use when I'm teaching this, but like, you know, like if I'm selling, you know, if I'm selling blinds and this guy next to me is selling blinds, and I'm coming at you being like, buy my blinds, buy my blinds, buy my blinds, but you've never met me before. And I'm selling the same blinds as this other guy, but you've known him for 5 years and you've met his kids. Aren't you going to buy blinds from him? Yeah, probably, because, you know, there's the trust and the relationship there. And that's what we're trying to do. We want to, again, be less businesses than we are people, public facing, because people buy from people, not necessarily from entities. And just sort of showing that you're someone who actually cares about their life experience, not somebody who just wants to make revenue. So it seems obvious, but can't be that obvious, because, you know.
It's not done a lot. I mean, how many sales emails do you get in your inbox every day? Like, with people trying to get you to sell, and, you know, half those, even with discounts, I'm deleting. And yeah, that's why it's so important. So how do you get those people to your email list though, right? Like, how do you get them on your bots? You're giving them value, right? It's through those same things. It's through video, it's through blogs. On my blogs, I put lead magnets on there. I put contests on there. If you don't know what a lead magnet is, that is when you are giving away something for free. And a lot of e-commerce stores, I see it again and again for the people that I end up, you know, helping, is they don't know what they can possibly give away for free, because you know, it's hard when you sell a big product. Like, if you can give away a sample, that's great. But if you don't have a sample, you can create digital products that basically, you know, talk about things, help people. Like if you have something where it's related to health, you could be giving away recipes. You could be giving away, you know, a workout calendar, or, you know, something like that. If it is fashion, again, you can relate it to women's confidence, or, you know, like with daily affirmations, things like that. I've actually done an ebook on that for an e-commerce store. So there are all kinds of things that you can do when you're building your brand to include these lead magnets, or, you know, ebooks, calculators, infographics, you know, whatever, where you're just, all it is you're asking for somebody for an email to provide them something for free. And those work really well if you just have like a little banner for your lead magnet, or contest. I put those on a lot of blogs as well, and it can be really super low cost item. It doesn't have to be huge.
Yeah, no, it's a good way to wrap up, just because, I mean, at the end of the day, it's a good reminder. Like, the whole point is to get the emails so that you can nurture the customers. And the whole point of content marketing really is to create value-based content, which can, by its very nature, intrinsically nurture people to becoming brand loyalists and buyers. So, you know, as well as, you know, I mean, yeah, I mean, like, even with getting cold traffic through Google still, I mean, like, when they come to you for value, I mean, you're going to start to nurture them there. So that's a good way to sort of tie it all back and wrap up. Thanks everybody for watching.
If you have any questions, make sure to
ask
them, post them. You know, we'll help you. Like, whatever, you know, you're thinking about. If you're trying to run through blog topics and are like, oh, you know, these are my ideas, which one do you like best? Have the group vote on them. Like, the whole group will probably help you with that. Like,
I would love to help people out with headlines. Oh, it's so much fun.
Yeah, he loves that.
Story ideas, yeah, that's really good stuff. But yeah, if
or
anybody
social media, or whatever it is, yeah, it could be.
Yeah, if anybody watches this later, you can comment on this, and I'll, you know, we'll make sure to pop in and answer it. Or you can always try to shoot us a DM too, and we'll hook you up. Thanks so much.
Yeah.
Thank you, Sarah. See, Sarah, valuable information. I like it.
Awesome.
Okay. Have a good day, everybody.
Bye, everyone.